When the Doctor disappears from all of time and space, not even his greatest enemies can find him. Clara must team up with the dreaded Missy to find her missing friend, but will they arrive in time to help him on his last day? What has the Doctor done, which means he must now face his most terrible enemy? Get ready for our review today in the Vortex.
Broadcast amplitude at maximum capacity. Transmitting through time and space in 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the Vortex.
Voices from the Vortex reviews Series 9, Episode 1, The Magician's Apprentice. I'm sorry, hold on. Back up a second. Did I sleep through 11 episodes and miss the entire season and just now started watching the season finale two-parter? Because this didn't feel like a first episode, folks.
It's funny you mentioned sleep, because as I was watching this episode, I thought, did I dream this? Is this an episode that... I'm serious. I was like, this episode is like something I would have dreamed up. And then oh my god, I had the craziest dream about Doctor Who last night. The Master was there. Davros was there. The Doctor riding in on a tank playing a guitar. And it's just...
It saw the return of Davros, it saw the return of Skaro. Hell, it just had Missy walking around in nowhere.
Oh man, this episode was bananas.
From the get-go.
Yeah, it was just nuts. Immediately.
Okay, how many people out there saw leading up to the opening titles, and I mean, there were every hair on the back of my neck was standing up.
Yeah. Yeah, first...
Wait, that came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
I know, that was so good. First of all, the hand mines were just creepy enough. Those were really...
Oh, hand mines.
Those were cool. And then, I don't know why, but I was thinking, oh, this is going to be... it's the Doctor as a kid, and for some reason he doesn't remember, this happening or something, and that's
right.
What I thought. I thought this was Gallifrey or something. It was going to be... But then he says Davros, and I was like, whoa! Because, I had forgotten all about
so
Davros.
good.
He was out of my mind. I wasn't even thinking that he was even going to be part of any of this.
How well concealed was this reveal? Okay? I mean, we had the Radio Times cover with the Doctor and all the Daleks. We obviously knew he was going to be on Skaro. We saw all that in the trailer. We knew Missy was there. We knew Clara was there. But at no point in time did I ever suspect Davros.
Matt, me neither. Me neither, at all.
It was the biggest twist. And it's... man. I'm still blown away. I've seen it 3 times now, and I'm still blown away.
Yeah, I watched it a couple times, yeah.
So we have the Doctor presented with a moral quandary. He randomly walks into a scenario where finally he has to face what he has sort of faced before in the past, but not really, where if you have a chance to go back in time and kill a kid who will one day grow up to be evil, do you do that? Do you save this child or do you let them die? And that is the core of Doctor Who. But up until this moment, I never realized that was what his life was leading to. I feel like this is the game changer. This is what defines Doctor Who for the next 50 years.
Oh yeah, I mean, this was... I agree with everything you're saying, and especially what you said at the beginning was this felt like a series finale. I seriously thought this would be something great for the end of this series, and they were like, no, let's stick it at the beginning.
Right, exactly. I love. We all kind of knew that was coming. They kept saying that the beginning, the first 2 episodes were going to feel more like a season finale, and I really feel like this is a great way to start a season. I'll say it, man. Yeah. We've talked about it. Series 8 was tough for us. It was rough on me. I needed this in Deep Breath, and I didn't get this from Deep Breath. Season 8 was a slow build.
Yeah.
This is right out of the gate. This is Matt Smith. This is David Tennant. This is just an explosion.
This is like
everything after this is going to come in its wake.
Yeah, this is like Impossible Astronaut, like insane.
This is just like Impossible Astronaut.
Yeah, I would definitely make that connection.
We get so much to talk about. So to begin with, we have the Doctor goes missing, and we have this snake-like creature who goes looking for him, who's a servant of Davros. That entire room that he first goes into, there's an ood.
Ood, I know. I was so happy about the ood.
I saw a half.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was so cool. You're like, oh yes, finally, we're seeing all those aliens again. Yes. That was cool.
And then the Shadow Proclamation.
The Shadow Proclamation.
Oh. And it was the same actress too. I thought that was really neat. That it's the same.
And did anyone else catch that she was upset about something called a suicide moon?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Okay, that on its own needs an episode. Like the episode should open and there should be a planet and people on it, and then all of a sudden the moon comes spiraling out of nowhere with a face on it and blows up the planet, and it cuts to the titles, and then it comes back and it's just the Doctor and Clara and the TARDIS, and the Doctor goes, "Suicide moons," and she goes, "Oh, what now?" And he goes, "Moons that commit suicide," and she's like, "Is that a thing now?" And he goes, "Ah, indeed, perhaps, maybe in legend." Like, that needed to be an episode, because I don't know what's going on there, but I'm more intrigued about that at the moment.
Instead of kill the moon, it's the moon kill you.
On Gallifrey, moon kill you.
In Soviet Russia, moon kill you.
Yakov Smirnoff, the ultimate Time Lord.
Yeah, I love the Shadow Proclamation. I like to call it the rhinos and the albinos. But I was glad that we got to. Yes, I was glad that we got to see the Jadoon. I was a little disappointed there was no Fro Chojobo, no right. Jadoon speak. It's one of my favorite things. But
it was cool that you see the police, this group that are kind of the police of the galaxy. And not, but they are. They're sort of the authority of how things are supposed to work. And once again, when the Doctor goes missing, who would be the ultimate authority who should have been watching him? It should have been them. And they're not.
Yeah. That snake guy was creepy.
Oh, okay. So we've seen it a couple times in the trailer, guys with lines on their faces, and I was like, oh, this is going to be creepy. And then it didn't occur to me until moments before, and that's a little later in the episode, moments before it starts uncoiling, and it just hit me, and I go, wait a minute, those aren't lines, those are folds.
Yeah,
and there was some screaming. So they moved over to Karn, and
yes.
That was great because they're harboring the Doctor. And I guess that's where the prologue and the prequel come into play. Because
right,
what's his name? Colony something. That was the snake's name.
Yeah, it was like Colony Sarf or something.
Right.
Yeah, it was something really interesting.
It goes there, it talks to the Lady of Karn, and then it leaves, and she speaks to the Doctor, says, "What have you done?" Right then, you could essentially watch the prologue, which is her talking to him, and him saying he has to go, because now we know who they were talking about, who they were referring to. And then after that is the prequel, where he goes to, meditate.
Right.
So that's where those fit in. That's really cool. We saw scenes from in the episode, which is nice.
Yeah, it was a prequel, but it was like, well, it wasn't really a prequel. It was like, meanwhile, yeah,
an early quill.
Yes. I really enjoyed once we finally got to like Clara and Unit, and then I was like, oh, this is it. I was really excited.
Clara taking charge, dude.
Clara taking charge, and I saw this somewhere. Somebody had mentioned this online, and I didn't really even think about it as while I was watching it, which I guess is a good thing. But if you notice in that first scene, there were it was 3 women, and they were in charge. I thought that was really great. You had Clara, you had Kate Stewart, and then you had the other gal who was sort of the tech analyst, I guess,
right.
replacing Osgood or whoever it was.
Oh yeah.
And I just thought that was great. You had the 3 women right there taking charge, and then Missy comes in. There's the 4th woman, and sort of just I thought that was that's great for television. I think that's incredible for representation and all that stuff. So
Absolutely.
give Moffat a little applause there for that.
People give Moffat all this grief about sexism, and we've talked about this. There really isn't. He writes strong, powerful females who don't need male relationships to define them. His scripts pass the Bechdel test every now and then. And it's bizarre that people will claim sexism just because he's a man writing women doesn't mean it's sexist. But here's a perfect example of but wait, he put 4 women in, one who's batshit crazy, but he put 4 women in charge, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, they're the strongest, most intelligent, most powerful women on the planet. And then just scenes ago, you had a woman who runs the Shadow Proclamation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then you had the Women of Karn. He writes the Doctor as being very subservient to women, and that's fine. He writes the Doctor as being almost like a child to a bunch of mother figures. And you're right, absolutely. I think this is a good example. This is a great episode that is an example of how Moffat's trying to push a very feminist agenda, which is good, and an idea that women don't just have to be the girl that gets kidnapped and screams and needs the Doctor to save her.
Right.
But then we get the best introduction in the episode is Missy.
I think, it was. I really enjoyed her comeback. I have to say that their face popping out of the screen was a little cartoony for me. I thought, oh, really? I was like one moment where I rolled my eyes. I was like, oh man, what is this?
Did her? Well, yes, and it is a little, but it's the Master. That's what he does. He
makes yeah.
But let me ask you: has anyone else noticed that? I think Stephen Moffat is getting exhausted writing as much as he does. All 18 hours of a year that he writes something, I think he's getting tired because her showing up like that with the words. And then her face is just like Moriarty showing up at the end of season 3 of Sherlock.
Yeah.
Let's back up a second. This is literally Sherlock. And that's
I think the Doctor's done that before too, like
right.
To Amy or something, send her like a little message in text with like some inside joke or something.
Right. No, but and that was A Christmas Carol. But no, what I meant was is that the whole world suddenly sees the face of the evil villain. First, the words that say the villain's coming back, the words that are the knowing glance or the wink, and then the villain on the screen, which is exactly how season 3 of Sherlock ends, where Holmes is going off in the plane. They have to get rid of him because he murdered somebody, and all of a sudden, all across England and all across the world on TV is Moriarty's words and then Moriarty's face.
Right.
This is a great parallel to Moffat's busy in Sherlock, and clearly it's getting to him.
Yeah, I think so. The pressure is he can't handle it anymore. He's like, you want more Sherlock? Here, I'll just throw some in Doctor
Who. Seriously, next you're going to get an episode where he pretends to be Sherlock again. And it's just
yes.
Moffat going, ha.
There it is.
Clara ultimately becoming the Doctor here. Look at her take charge. Within minutes, within seconds of seeing this, boom, unit's called and she's on her way. And she is just taking charge, figuring things out the way the Doctor would.
And I really liked their whole interaction there in the square. I thought that was just a really great scene. And
great.
I've been looking forward to this scene for a long time since we saw they were filming it, or Missy and Clara just talking in the scene. It looks like they're sort of friendly or something. It's not a showdown,
Right.
So I was pretty stoked to see this scene finally, and just more Missy. I mean, Missy is the greatest.
She is. Michelle Gomez is absolutely a beautiful, brilliant actress. She's wonderful, and she plays this part to a T. I can't imagine anyone else being this character now. It's just
I can't.
She has made it her own.
Oh yeah, I keep trying to think of like John Sim again, and it's like no, I can't even see. It's not. It's her now. I guess yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It was, when they switch doctors, it takes you a minute. You're like, do I like this guy? Oh yeah, I really do like this guy.
Sure.
And then, but with the Master, And with Missy, it was instant. I mean, it was right away. There was no question that she was just brilliant in the whole thing. And this episode, she's even better.
So we get the confession dial, which to be delivered, to his best friend, and upon his death, his last will and testament. And we find, very, very blatantly, we find out it's not Clara. She thinks it's her. She's not. It's Missy. Missy is his best friend.
Right.
Which is kind of where they set her up in season 8. She ends season 8, but she makes this army of Cybermen, and she says, I just want my friend back. All this stuff we've been doing. She says it here in this scene. You always try to. Clara says you always try to kill him, and Missy says, that's like texting. That's just how Time Lords play. That's flirting. And that's very true. Like, Time Lords are manic and crazy, and that's a good point. Trying to kill each other would probably be a sign of respect.
Yeah.
In a bizarre Time Lordian way.
And I really liked the whole line about, Clara kind of hinted, like, oh, you guys like in love or something, and she's like, please, it's
right,
deep
it's
friendship.
not a relationship. It's a friendship.
We're Time Lords, not not animals or whatever. I really liked that.
The metaphor to Clara. You see that couple over there? You're the puppy. And can I just say, there's a military engagement, men with guns. What the hell's a couple doing walking around with a puppy?
That's so true.
Like, why were they walking in front of the guards? Wouldn't, if you were walking around and you saw a bunch of guys standing around with guns, wouldn't you go the other way?
You would think somebody would be like, hey, don't walk over here.
Like,
this area is closed off.
Somebody was, world-ending crisis. You don't want to go there.
That's a good point. So this brings up an interesting point, and I will get to this later. I have a bit of a rant about this later. But
okay.
In the prequel, no, in the prologue, the Doctor gives the confession dial to the head lady of Karn, of the Sisterhood, and he says, you know who to give this to. So obviously, right there, he knows that Missy survived at the end of last season. So he knows that she wasn't dead, and he's and Clara brings it up later. He's like, you've been lying to me. You knew, either you didn't know she was alive, or you did and you're lying to me, or something. Yeah. So you've been lying about something, and so that's interesting that he knew that she survived that, and he just kind of let it go. He's like, I'll deal with it later.
Well, it's also possible he assumed she survived.
Right.
That's an interesting point. But you got to keep in mind too, how many times has this one man faced this person and seen this person die? And he even says it when he talks about. That's why he burned the body. When it was Tennant. Was to make sure he was dead. I mean, it was a funeral, but and then of course later on when he says no, it's impossible, he's dead. I burned the body myself, and they say no, you missed something. And he in the dream state with the ood, and he sees the ring drop, and he goes, no, something survived.
Yeah.
So it's possible he just assumed. He always knew it was going to happen. I'm sure he figured out, obviously, when John Sims' master was fighting Rassilon and they went back into the Time War, and he thought, well, they're dead because the Time War ended Gallifrey. Well, then, however many centuries later, he finds out, wait a minute, Gallifrey survived. Back of his mind, he's got to be thinking, okay, let me count all the people on Gallifrey that I don't want to be alive but are probably alive. So he knew the master would come back eventually, just never assumed she'd change, form to Missy. So when Missy dies, you gotta think he's probably thinking, that's just my luck, she's not dead. There's no way she's dead. That could not have killed her. If sending her back into the Time War didn't kill her.
Yeah. Well, even just a blast, like it's just a laser blast from a Cyberman, she would obviously go into regeneration, and she didn't. She just disappeared. So it's more likely that he was like, well, she just teleported somewhere.
Yeah.
I'll have to figure this out later.
Right, exactly. And he got me. Well, he's getting back to it.
Right now, I gotta save the Earth.
So so they go to they use the teleport, what do you call them? The time agent's teleporter, right, to travel through time. The vortex manipulator. There it is. And they go back to where they think the Doctor is. Which, finding the Doctor, by the way, was super cool.
The little Doctor finding algorithm. I thought that was pretty neat. I was like, of course, units got something like that, where they,
right? They'd have to.
Yeah, they'd have to.
So they end up back in time, which is cool. And he's having the coolest party ever.
And I have to say, greatest entrance ever of the Doctor in the history of the show.
Yes,
the greatest entrance ever.
This even beats him opening the doors of the TARDIS when he's finally Tennant after the tea, which was a great entrance.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that one. I always loved the beginning of season 6 when they get off the bus and then he turns around and they turn around and he's like laying on the hood of the car and he like tips the cowboy hat up. You know, that's a great one. This one beats all of those.
By far and wide. It isn't just that he rode in on a tank. Let's be clear. He rode in on a tank.
Yes.
It wasn't that he was playing an electric guitar. Because let's be clear, he was playing an electric guitar. It wasn't that he was wearing sunglasses and playing to a crowd and I just basically looking awesome. It's the fact that this Time Lord, this version, Capaldi is known as the Rebel Time Lord. Everything about him screams punk rock.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what this scene is. This is punk rock. And it's phenomenal.
Oh, it's so great. And you're right. It's not just the tank. It's not just the guitar. It's not the sunglasses. It's all of them together.
It's just the attitude.
And the smoke and the epicness and the attitude he has in this scene. It's just like this. I was like, yes. Why couldn't we have had more of this last season? This is who he should have been. And I'm so glad he's there.
So he shows up. We know the character that he's facing off against there from the prequel.
Mm-hmm.
Bors, the idiot.
Oh yeah, yes.
He talks to the crowd. He sees Clara. Go ahead.
Introduced. I was just saying, he's introduced the word "dude" several centuries early. I loved that when the guy he rides in on the tank and the guy goes, "Dude, I challenged you to an axe fight." I thought that was great.
I love his introduction of the two. Okay, is it just me or was Capaldi and Michelle Gomez like really flirting in that scene?
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, him
just
and Clara
the way
too.
Yeah.
He sees Clara. He starts playing Pretty Woman, and then he sees when Missy comes down. He's playing. I think he's playing "Hey Mickey, You're So Fine" on the guitar.
Right.
And so I love that little bit that he just kept playing. Like at random.
Oh,
points.
her little head bob dance.
When she came down,
playing it up with him.
For sure.
That was that reunion, and what he says with Clara. She says, "How could you see me? How could you see me? How did you see me?" He says, "I always see you." She says, "Through the crowd," and he goes, "There was a crowd too." Oh
yeah.
My heart. Their friendship, their beautiful friendship.
It's gonna make it really hard near the end of the season.
And then everything goes to crap.
Oh yeah.
The Snake Man shows up. Takes them away. Yeah.
Takes them all. They go to this little floating building.
It didn't dawn on me until the scene with them in the ship that Clara doesn't know who Davros is.
Oh,
she knows Daleks. She knows what the Daleks are.
She's familiar with them.
But she doesn't understand. She doesn't know the word Skaro. She doesn't know what Skaro is. She doesn't know Daleks or Davros or who Davros is. She doesn't know the connection to the Doctor.
Well, and if you think about it, Clara's connections with the Daleks are the 50th anniversary. She knew about the Time War,
right?
And then the Daleks there, that the one that came through the picture and all that. So she's seen them, and then into the Dalek, and that's about it, as far as I can remember. Maybe the time of the Doctor, there was a few on.
She knew from Time of the Doctor, yeah, because she saw Daleks.
But this is her first she's learning about the Daleks and where they came from,
right?
And
Well, and that's the thing. Here's the thing: is Clara, all of her experience with stuff like that come from her duplicates, right? She was a Dalek but that wasn't her.
Yes.
Her going through time, and being a part of his life, she had to have met Daleks, but that's not her. That's not her that remembers this stuff. And you're right, Into the Dalek would have been, the Time of the Doctor, the 50th anniversary, and Into the Dalek are really her only... And for the most part, she doesn't have... the 50th, she doesn't really interact with Daleks. They're just there. They're sort of the backdressing. That's happening. But she's busy with other stuff. She had more experience with Zygons in that particular episode than she did with Daleks.
Yeah, right.
And then we're talking about the Time of the Doctor. She knows the Daleks are there. She knows that they've come for him. She sees the ship at the end, right? And she understands what the Daleks are by then. But that she doesn't... she's never really faced them. Then
she was more worried about... She was more worried about the Doctor and his...
Right.
Him being old and dying and everything, yeah.
Then you get into the Dalek, where she actually... sees a Dalek and is a part of and in a Dalek, and even that she doesn't really, the Daleks and her don't really interact,
right?
So she's not I'm trying to think of if we've missed anything, but it's only been in 2 seasons, 1.5 seasons.
Yeah, that's all I can think of, honestly.
Yeah.
She's had more experience with Cybermen.
She has a lot of experience with Cybermen.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's that. So they get to this floating base in space, what they assume is a hospital, and the Doctor comes face to face with Davros, and it's Julian Beach, which is beautiful. I cannot believe they got him back. That is so awesome. I love
that they got this. They get the same people. I mean, just the same lady in the Shadow Proclamation. I was ecstatic that it was the same lady. That the continuity was there. I thought that was just perfect. I thought it was so great. Yeah.
So there's something we're going to talk about when we're done talking about the scenes in the episode. But they play the Doctor's conversations, his speeches with Davros.
Yes.
And an important one to note, though, what they end on is the first time the Doctor and Davros ever come together, ever meet each other. And that's Genesis of the Daleks. But there's a more important thing that he doesn't play. And that's when, and if you remember, I mean, you and I have watched Genesis, when the Doctor is strapped in and Davros is interrogating him, the Doctor gives Davros a scenario, trying to open up his humanity, right? And he says to Davros, he says, if you had a vial, and in that vial was a disease that could kill all life in the universe, would you use it? And Davros postulates the idea that all he has to do is just, snap his fingers and break that vial. And he goes, yes. He says, yes, I would do it. I would become like a god. And that's how Davros is out of his mind. But that's the Doctor trying to find humanity in him. This moment that we're at now, Davros, I believe, is testing the Doctor in a very similar way. We'll get to that here in a minute. But I just want to... That was something they omitted from his speeches, which I think is a very important piece of their history. We'll come back to that.
Yeah.
So Missy jumping up and down in the cell is adorable.
Yes, and singing. That was
She's
good.
testing the acoustics.
Yes, of course.
It has some purpose.
Yes, and I really enjoyed... the reveal of where they were, and then all the Daleks in the room that were there. Because we said,
the terrified look on Missy's face when she realizes where they are.
Yes, that was the one thing I really noticed. It was this is the first time we see Missy as the Master, as Missy, scared. I've seen, John Sim was kind of like, he was worried, he was frightened, that when the Doctor, everyone said Doctor around the world, and he, turned into that angel thing or whatever,
right.
that floating god, and he was like, no, we've seen that, but with Missy, there's really we didn't get to see that. And this, it was like terror on her face. She realized where they were and who they were about to face.
Yeah.
And she knew that even she couldn't handle this.
In classic Who, the Master has had dealings with the Daleks before, and the Pertwee era, and he's been very opposed. It's not that he doesn't want to work with them, but it's Daleks are fairly unpredictable. They just want to exterminate. But for her to see where they were, and because the Master was there during the Time War, he saw how terrible it was. And John Sims plays the Master in a way that was never seen before. He wasn't a villain as much as he was a troubled soul. And John Sim recites to the Doctor about being there and how he's just saying, it was terrible. And he said, I ran away, and you felt that humanity at that moment where the Master maybe really recognizes that there are certain lines you don't cross. And Missy definitely, I think, at that moment recognized the impact, the power of where she was, what was in front of her, and realized how scared she was for her life and for everything. I think that's a very humanizing moment.
Yes, I did too.
Clara has no idea.
Oh, no, she really doesn't. Which then we see later in the most crazy thing ever. They just go ahead and kill Missy, and then they kill Clara, and I was like, what? And then they go ahead and destroy the TARDIS, and you're just like, wait a minute, this isn't how it's supposed to go.
And of course, at
There's
the very
still
end,
11 episodes left. Yeah.
We get the Doctor returning to young Davros.
Yes.
And instead, this time now, he's got a gun. And he's getting ready to exterminate, or so we're led to believe.
Yes. And then that's, right before he shoots or is whatever, cuts off. So, the cliffhangiest of cliffhangers.
Extremely cliffhangy. Yeah.
Which we're going to have to get used to this season. But this was definitely just, I was just staring at the TV screen, when this was up. Just in a, what did I just watch?
I was same way.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Every now and then, you just got to go with it. I'm sure there's plenty of people who are crying foul and, you can't do this and you can do that because what about this and how, you can't, can he really kill Davros? Well, probably not. Because it would change everything of his history and it would change 50 years of the show, and that's impossible.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's a great moment that you just don't know what's going to happen next.
Right.
Kind of returning to what we were just talking about a little bit, and just wanted to kind of finish the thought off. In Classic Who, in Genesis of the Daleks, the Doctor poses the question to Davros, if you could end all life in the universe, would you do it? And Davros sees that becoming a god means having that power. And agrees. He says, yes, I would do it. We then see him commit to that. After the Time War in Journey's End, he wants to destroy all life everywhere because he can. Because he believes it's his destiny to be like a god, to become this thing. So we have to ask ourselves, what's Davros' next step? Why is he doing all this? Why would he bring the Doctor there to watch just so he could do this? And realistically, and because we do have thankfully a promo that we'll geek out about in a second, it's because he can send the Doctor back. He can send him back to that moment when he first ran away and give the Doctor the opportunity to murder Davros. If the Doctor does that, He wipes out the Daleks, saves the universe, undoes all the death and destruction they've ever caused, but commits genocide.
Right.
The moral quandary the Doctor has always refused to face, or when he has faced it, he's run away. The quandary was, if you go back in time and could kill a child who will one day become the greatest evil the world has ever known, would you do it? And his response has always been, no, you don't. You do everything you can to save that child, because you can save the future by changing the child. He believes in a lack of violence. But this is a moment where Davros can win and still die, but he can win. And that's scary stuff. This is deep for Doctor Who.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's not often.
I agree.
It's not often that I caution people about that. I love it when Doctor Who's deep, but this is super deep.
Yeah, definitely.
That was my thing.
That's I agree. This episode was crazy, and I think the one thing that we have to remember, and that people have to remember, if the people you said you're crying foul over this and that, this is only half of the story.
Yeah.
You know, we still haven't seen the second half of this story. Obviously, Clara and Missy are not going to be dead. The TARDIS is going to be fine. We know he goes on other adventures. We've seen the preview for the whole series.
Right.
However, you know, even just because the Doctor, if I know Moffat, just because the Doctor showed up in the field and said exterminate, is he going to shoot that kid? Probably not.
Probably not.
If I know Moffat, probably not. That's not something that he would do.
No.
Every time there's a cliffhanger, as soon as it comes back, something random happens that is totally different from anything I would have thought that was going to happen. So, you know, it's hard to say, oh yeah, this was great. It was great, but it's hard to say that because we don't even have the whole story. Which it might be kind of interesting this season to see, like, well, I didn't really like this first part, and then once you see the rest of the story, you're like, oh, well, then this whole story was amazing.
So, and people like to always this is the sing-song mantra for Moffat. They say Moffat kills everybody. Moffat's always killing people. Who does he kill? Osgood? That's it. I've literally never seen someone die in one of Moffat's... His very first stories for Doctor Who, everybody lives, Rose, everybody lives. And then every single one after that, he found a way to save everybody. The only people who have ever died have died of old age, or it was Osgood.
Yes.
So I don't know...
She might not even be dead.
She might not even be dead. So, like...
No, she's coming back, so...
He tricks you. He makes you think people are dead. Nobody ever dies because it's Doctor Who. Why would people die? It's science fiction. Why would people die?
Yeah.
I don't believe he's writing these beautiful stories about life and about love and about responsibility, and it's great to see that. I can go into a Moffat story worried that anyone's going to survive, but I know at the end of the day, pretty much everybody's going to survive. That's why when Osgood was killed, that was such a huge blow.
Oh, yeah.
It was the first time he really murdered somebody. I'm like, dude.
Yes.
I mean, sometimes the villains die, you know. Okay, they're monsters, you know, who cares? But, like, the people,
and
the
some
humans
guards.
don't die.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Well, okay, and yes. Okay, I'm sorry. Every now and then, there is a wholesale slaughter of people by Daleks or Cybermen. All right? That's different.
Or Missy. Missy kills a couple of guards.
Right. Yeah. Get down on your knees. Oh, yeah, he had a ring on. I think he was married.
Oh, that was so sad.
Some spit up on his jacket.
By the way, I
not
loved...
Ted, Eve are good.
By the way, I loved Missy sort of tickling the Daleks' balls. That was... that... I could not believe that they did that on the episode. Like, I was like, okay...
That was almost a little too far for Doctor Who. It's a little
one of those it's one of those things where you think... it's like, I think I know what kind of doctor Missy's going to be, and then she does something like that, and I'm like, okay, that's what kind of doctor she is. Or what kind of master she is, or, you know.
Oh, yeah. It's so true, though. It's so true.
Yeah. Yes.
I love her.
One of the things I kind of realized by watching this episode, and it's one of the reasons I love Capaldi so much, And I think one of the reasons I liked Tenet, and maybe the reason I like Tenet and Capaldi a little bit more than Matt Smith, is Capaldi is very mysterious, and I don't feel like Matt Smith was as mysterious. I felt like he could be very serious at times, and he was very funny and very full of humor and joy. But Capaldi can be funny, and then he's grumpy, and then he's also, just the scene where he's in the spaceship with Clara and he's telling her about who Davros is.
Yeah.
Just the way he's speaking about it, it's very Tenet of he's like, a long time ago there was whatever.
Right.
And I just I really like that in the Doctor. And I kind of didn't realize I'd been missing that, through Matt Smith's run. That sort of, when he explains something that happened a long time ago. And I don't know. I like the way he does it.
You don't think Matt Smith was mysterious? The fact that season 5, the entire season, he was lying to Amy Pond because he had to figure her out, or season 6, where he basically sets up his own death, and the entire season he's being mysterious behind he knew that Amy was a ganger, and he knew that things were, he's mysterious. Matt Smith is the most mysterious. He did everything behind everybody's back.
I'm not saying he didn't do mysterious things. I just mean he didn't have a lot of those moments where he's like, you know what I mean? Where he's like,
So he did mysterious things. He just didn't show it on his face all the time. He didn't lead people to the mystery. Tenet would be like, what? No, the Time Lords. It's happening again. And everyone's like, what's happening again? He's like, I've seen it before. What have you seen before? This very thing has happened once in the past. What has happened once in the past? But it'll never happen again after this. What will never happen again after this? He's like, the toaster's alive. And they're like, really? That's what we're doing this episode, Davies?
All right,
okay, fair enough. I'll see, guys. Sonic Wannakies.
Sonic Wannabe.
I have no idea where he comes up with this stuff.
Okay, so I have, I have but one complaint about this episode.
All right,
and other than it was also so weird that I felt like I had dreamed this episode up.
Right. Yeah.
It was just so insane. That to me at first I was like, what did I just watch? And then on second viewing, I was like, okay, it's a little more. But I think it just, the initial reaction to the episode, I was like, what the heck did I just watch? But that's not my complaint. Okay. My complaint is, I know it's Doctor Who, and I know I should just suspend my disbelief, but can we get a line or something about how people/things survived? I need something. And hopefully in the next episode we'll get this. But how did Davros survive? How did Missy survive? How did the Dalek, the Supreme Dalek, how did he survive? Just things like, I'm sure it was some sort of emergency transmat. I get it. But just can we get the line that's where they go, yes, when I blew you up, well, not this time. We escaped or something. You know what I mean? I just need I need it.
Okay.
And that's my complaint. It's petty, but it's my one complaint.
I haven't done this in a while, so I might be a little rusty on it. But
oh god, I hate you so much.
So you're totally okay with the dude traveling through time and space in a small box that's bigger on the inside, has 2 hearts and can regenerate, but how did the bad guys survive? Really? Sorry, it's a little rusty on that. It's been a while. But
you forgot. You forgot. That's the problem you have with the show.
That's the problem you have with the show. Really. Let me say this though. And this is a legitimate complaint. I don't have the same complaints about Moffat that other people do. I really don't. Aside from season 6, I don't have the same complaints with Moffat that other people do.
Right, me either.
Right,
for the most part.
But if I'm going to make a really good argument or a good case for why Moffat needs to stop stop for a minute and think. Russell T Davies was amazing at continuity. He would give you explanations so everything felt like the next step, like the next day, the next episode, the next season was just the next step in the story. Moffat's so in love with but everything can be kind of, we don't have to explain stuff, it's more like a fairy tale, so there's all of these continuity errors and issues, and all he has to do is give us one line. Make it up. It's stupid, I know, but just write it in. Doctor says, oh, and by the way, thanks to the super Wayback Machine, I was able to, or Davros says, I survived the time, or the death at Journey's End because I used my incredible powers of telepathy, and I summoned a star whale. I don't care. Give us something. You're right.
Davros riding on a star whale.
which needs to be a poster.
Yes.
With one of those motivational quotes, like "Hang in there." but this is a great idea. But my point is you're right. Moffat doesn't like to lay down the tracks and let you. He doesn't want to tell you. He wants you to figure it out on your own and just imagine what it is. Dude, I'm watching a TV show. I'm not writing it, though you could pay me to do that. I'm not writing it. I don't want to invent it myself. Entertain me. So that's I'm with you on the complaint. Drop in. At least Missy gave us a line. She at least said, okay, big deal. I'm back. So what? Not going to talk about it. Move on. Okay.
Yes.
I'm down for that. Thank you. Thank you for the explanation. Sure. You're right. There's more important things to worry about. It wasn't just Missy shows up and everybody goes, oh, it's Missy. No, she died. We all saw her die. Somebody has to go, you died. She goes, so what?
Yes. At least they had a line like that. No one said, but last I saw you, Davros, the Dr. Donna blew you and all your Daleks up. No, there was no line. And there could have been a nice little nod to Donna. I think that would have been nice to say that.
He could have said he could have said something like, "How's that companion of yours with the red hair?" Aw, too soon. That would have been great.
Yes, I did like Missy's line. How's your boyfriend? Still dead, I suppose. I assume. But yeah, that, and then correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't Skaro destroyed in the Time War? Am I wrong about that?
So,
or was it lost, or as well? It was in the time lock, or whatever. Which we've already talked about. The time lock didn't exist. It was just
so.
But where did Skaro go, and how are they there now? I need some answers. Hopefully, we'll get some next episode.
This is my complaint on the episode. Matt Smith's doctor went to Skaro. Asylum of the Daleks. He was standing on Skaro. He goes, Skaro, the original planet of the Daleks. Look at the state of this place. And I'm like, okay, cool. Skaro's out there. Yeah, that makes sense.
You're right. Yeah,
so
you're right.
So why is he so damn shocked that Skaro's... You brought me to Skaro! Dude, you went there of your own accord 1,000 years ago. What's wrong with you?
I don't. This is a good point.
So the reveal of Skaro was cool and all. So this is what I'm thinking. It's not that it's Skaro. It's that it's the original Skaro. It's that it's Skaro from the second time the Doctor had an adventure televised. It's Skaro when the Doctor was there as Hartnell. That's the big secret. It isn't just that it's Skaro. It's Skaro at its height, and that's scary.
Ooh. So here's a good point. Here's an interesting thought. We see all these classic Daleks sort of in there, and then we see the Supreme Dalek and Davros. Is this maybe earlier in Davros and that Supreme Dalek's timeline? Maybe this is not Journey's End yet.
No, because Davros makes reference.
Oh, you're right. He makes reference to Tennant's.
Also, it's his last day. He's dying.
Yeah, that's right. He shows... Never mind, that was a dumb idea. He shows Tennant's clip on the video, so never mind.
Yeah.
Oh, well. But maybe they've traveled back to Scarro's heyday or something.
He rode on a star whale that could travel through time, and whilst doing so, he grabbed all the famous Daleks of history. Abraham Lincoln Dalek and, I don't know, Caesar Dalek, Julius Caesar Dalek, and the joke's failing here. But no, he grabs all these Daleks and he brings them all to the original Scarro, steals the original Scarro, makes it invisible to everybody, and then dies. But before he does, he sends someone to call on the Doctor. Basically, he sends someone to the Doctor's house to knock on the screen door and go, "Can the Doctor come out and play? The sick kid next door is gonna die."
Yeah,
that is basically what he did.
Well, all right, real quick, my favorite quotes of this episode.
Yeah,
are you ready?
Go for it.
All right, I loved Missy's quote. "Death is for other people, dear." These are all have to do with Missy. They were great. Sure. I loved when the Doctor called her the wicked stepmother, and then had the audience boo and hiss. That was great. And then her line at the end, when Clara's like, you can't get into the TARDIS, or you can't destroy it, and she's like, "Who told you that? The Doctor? Never believe a man about a vehicle." That was such a good line. That was such a good Moffat line. Like something
those
he
are
would have
three
written.
great Moffat lines.
Yeah, those are good.
I think for me, I loved the Davros line. It survived the Time War.
Yeah.
When they're talking about the argument, the Doctor says it ended with the Time War, and he says it survived the Time War. I loved Missy's, "You're going to need 8 snipers. It's the only way you'll feel safe talking to me."
Mm-hmm.
Which is great, because it's true. I would never have gone into that with less than 1,000 things shooting at her. And then
Right.
Clara at the beginning, "Everyone take out your phones, search the internet, Twitter," and they say, "For what?" And she goes, #planes have stopped. And it's just like, yeah, I always forget that Doctor Who can be incredibly topical, and that's modern Who.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Yes.
that goes all the way back to, you had Matt Smith talking about, we're going to send the code out in his first episode. We sent it over to Facebook, Twitter, Bebo, and he's talking about sending the code through cell phones. And then you go back to Eccleston talking about, when they had to sit and watch it on TV. And they were, I just love how they do that, how they take New Who and they make it very topical. So.
Yes.
So Taylor, final thoughts on the episode?
I loved this episode. It's I feel a little weird, reviewing it without seeing the whole story yet. However, the cliffhanger was incredible. All the surprises, the twists and turns, I didn't see any of them coming.
Mm-hmm.
This was Moffat and I think Doctor Who at its finest. And if the rest of the season is like this, then that's incredible. I can't wait to see what happens next. It's been a while since I've said that about Doctor Who. We haven't had a lot of cliffhangers lately. I can't wait to see what happens next. I'm really excited for this.
This was a hell of a starting point. We're talking full-on end of the season type episode, right? The cliffhanger really was. It was phenomenal. There's no other way to describe it. It is possible that the Doctor might really have the ability to change his time stream and to make what is already a fairly convoluted story a little more convoluted, but also to make the universe a better place. Can he make things right with the universe by ending a Dalek threat once and for all? If this is the type of episodes that we have in store for Series 9, this will be the best season of Doctor Who. Since it's come back. Absolutely. Hands down. If this is a testament to what they're writing, this will be the best that we've ever seen. This is what I live for. This is why this show is so damn good.
Agreed.
Calculating. Voices from the Vortex gives The Magician's Apprentice 10 out of 10.
And now it's time for our favorite segment.
Oh my god, that promo. Oh my god, that promo.
Yes.
I don't even know what was going on in half of it. Like,
I didn't either. He was in a different outfit.
it was in like, and it was like a video camera that was recording him, like a security cam or something. But
Right,
it was a
right.
flashback. It was a flashback cam.
Sure, yeah.
But just
I don't know what's going on here.
the Doctor having to make this great choice, horrible choice.
Right. And
I'm excited.
there's no Clara or Missy in this promo.
Yeah.
Or the TARDIS, so they did a good job there. I would be really annoyed if they killed Clara and then they had her in the promo for the next episode.
Right.
But so it's just the Doctor and some Daleks really, and then you have Davros talking.
The Doctor, Davros, and some Daleks playing poker or something.
But so I guess my prediction, maybe Davros's plan is since Davros is dying, maybe he's looking for someone to replace him or someone to help keep making the Daleks evolve into this unbeatable force. But he's doing this. He's taking the Doctor's compassion away by killing his two best friends and showing him that compassion is wrong. That was the big quote at the end. He was like, "I want you to say it to me that compassion is pointless or whatever."
Right.
So something about that, where maybe he's like trying to make the Doctor like be the new Davros or something like that.
Well, and I think it's something very similar to that. But I think it's Davros having the final word. If he can convince, why else would he bring him there in the first place to see the death of his friends? If he can convince the Doctor to go back in time and kill him as a kid, that is genocide of an entire species. And in doing so, he dies, but he also dies with the last laugh, knowing that he proved that his theory was right, that compassion is wrong, that if you want to save your friends, you have to be as horrible as I am. And that makes the Doctor into something just as bad as Davros. So Davros dies, but he also wins. And it's a double-edged sword, right? And this preview was just such a great way to wet our beaks. I'm ready. I'm hoping it's everything it can be.
Yes, I definitely agree. This it was this promo. The promo was exciting. I think it was more exciting because of the cliffhanger. But just on its own, it didn't really give us much, unfortunately. But I mean, I'm okay with it. I'm not like really frustrated that we didn't get a lot because the episode was so good and I wouldn't want them to give away too much. I want to be surprised next week. So.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool.
All right. Yeah, that's it. That's all we got for this week. That is here we go. It's the first our Series 9 review. We're going to keep cranking these out every week. They're going to come out every Friday. So stay tuned for those.
Yep, and we'll see you back here in 7 days.
Yes. Exterminate! This has been another Voices from the Vortex review, Series 9, starring Matthew Whitecamp as Matt the Time Lord, Taylor Davidson as Taylor the Time Lord, and Danielle Davidson as the sexy voice of the TARDIS. All views expressed are the opinions of the two dudes from Gallifrey, and as such, should be taken extremely seriously. Follow Voices from the Vortex on all social media, including Facebook, Tumblr, and Twitter. If you have any questions regarding the podcast, please email us at voicesfromthevortex@gmail.com. Doctor Who and all related materials is copyright BBC. No infringement of copyright is intended. All originally written material is fan fiction of a satirical nature. Please, Mr. Moffat, don't sue. See you next time in the Vortex!
Temporal flight engaged. Returning to the vortex. End of transmission.